seems like a mismatch when you really look at the two careers that they're fighting, right? Listen, man, you got a credentialed former champion in a regional promotion, if you want to call Rizin that, but a dude who literally was in title contention the moment that he got into the UFC. And also Almabayev, even though he's on this ridiculous 17-fight win streak, I mean, listen, man, this dude is here to wrestle. Doesn't have much for you on the feet. Is this a Muhammad Mokaev replacement right here, or does this man have his own standing in this division?
Ooh, that's a good question, Derek. I want to say he's on his own, right? I want to say that, but I do think we're a little bit similar to what you're thinking, man. The Mokaev replacement. If we've seen how specialists no longer have to even have a foothold in what the UFC is nowadays. You need to be well-rounded. You need to be able to do all the other things out there. Because if your wrestling doesn't work, man, Starboy's going to piece you up.
Yeah. I mean, listen, AJ, I got kind of some harsh opinions on this matchup here. Not because I'm overconfident in my analysis, but just pure film review, man. I think Asu Almabayev has nothing on the feet from Manel Kape other than freezing him a little bit and making him think about the takedown. I was just replaying the Jose Johnson fight and the Mateus Nicolau fight. And, you know, Mateus Nicolau, that was the one that he beat Manel Kape, didn't really do much, right? But he won the fight. And when you have a lot of movement coming at you, Almabayev isn't super aggressive with, let me just blast double, right? He'll come in, shoot on a single, get to a body lock, and start initiating some trips, start initiating some throws, things of that nature. Awesome. But on that first level takedown defense from Manel Kape, I mean, especially look at the Mokaev fight. He lost the fight. But you just mentioned earlier, talk to him again about what you had mentioned about a close fight. You're not really doing damage, but you're controlling. That doesn't guarantee you a win. Lead on that a little bit more.
It's no longer 2022, folks. Yeah. The judging has completely changed, right? We would always talk about if you're just controlling, you're looking to actually do, or at least in the judge's eyes, you're winning that fight, right? DC would comment it all the time during fights, like he's controlling the entire time. He's winning this fight. No longer is that the case, folks. You have to be able to do damage. You have to get the shock and the awe from the crowd, and that's what's really swaying the judges. I mean, we talked about it in the Font fight. Like, I do think that one elbow up the middle and blooding up Matsumoto, that's really what got the judges to be like, wow, he did win this fight. Same thing again last week against Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. As much as Allen was controlling a lot of those moments, Hernandez was doing a lot more of the damage. He won the fight. That's how the UFC has really started to switch toward their judging.
Especially in a close fight where the damage gets done late or in that last round. You remember the beginning, you remember the end. So when it comes to a fight like this, it is easy to look at it and say this is a dog or pass type fight, right? Minus 220, Manel Kape, current line as we're standing right now, right? So it's pretty impressive on that end that he's still able to, even though I feel like he's being overlooked in this matchup, but he's still a pretty dominant favorite right here. Let's talk about the value side for Asu Almabayev. This is a 5-rounder, man. So if the takedown defense starts to wane a little bit in the later rounds, who's to say that Almabayev cannot sneak out a decision victory, just a control victory?
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, Derek, until at least as of late, at least how this year has been going. Control decisions aren't just happening anymore. If Manel Kape is able to run away with 3 rounds and leave Asu Almabayev bloodied up, lumped up, I do think he has a good chance to be able to go. And I mean, you're talking about defense waning 77%. I was looking at a stat earlier. I don't have it pulled up now, but in the last 17 attempts or so that Manel Kape has been shot against, he's stopping all his takedowns, man. 77% takedown defense. If that lasts rounds 1 through 3, I don't know how much the gas tank of Almabayev is going to be able to put out even more in round 4 and round 5.
Again, though, it's that first layer defense, right? Like that first initial shot, boom, I got you. But we did see it in the Mokaev fight. When you chain them together, when he gets on his back, he'll talk about it. I'm a skilled black belt. I'm a fantastic jiu-jitsu practitioner, and that's awesome. But you don't win fights off of your back unless you're submitting your opponent. So that is the one part where I don't see as much of an urgency from Kape is getting back up to the feet, which scares me for Almabayev here. I'm looking at value, man. I'm just saying, like, hey, how can I make as much money as possible? Plus 180 on Almabayev. I like the value. But AJ, if we're going back to just kind of, what we had talked about originally, at the end of the day, man, experience, speed, especially for Manel Kape, if he can keep it standing for a prolonged amount of time, I wouldn't be surprised if he hits on that. Let me look at what the current odd is right now for Kape for the TKO, plus 185. It was plus 175 at open, so it shifted just a little bit. What do you think about that TKO prop for Kape?
I like it a lot, Derek. I was actually looking at this one earlier, man. If he's able to get on his horse and really start rolling, get in that flow state, his skill level on just striking alone outweighs what Almabayev is even able to defend and see coming at him. I do think he can overwhelm him and then open up those holes to be able to find the counter. I like that one almost more than I like the opening for the decision at plus 200.
So, I mean, really, Almabayev, like I said, on the feet, all he has for him is feints and maybe a big overhand. He did drop Nicolau. I think it was like a nice little check or something like that. And that was or maybe it was either him or it was Jose Johnson. But he dropped him with the left hook, and that was his takedown. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. You cannot deny that the man has power. It's just a matter of it's kind of Habib-ish. Habib has to land the big shot. He did drop McGregor after all, but we're not talking about Habib. We're talking about Almabayev, and I need to see a little bit more before I bet against Manel Kape here. So let's just talk the numbers right here. Over 3.5 rounds, minus 200 for the over, plus 160 for the under. That was at open. Currently, AJ, it shifted to 4.5. Minus 160 for the over, plus 125 for the under. What do you like?
Derek, I especially now at 4.5, I like the under a lot more right here. I know unders, like I said before, early in the prop block, they don't always have the best track record of hitting, but I do think with the capabilities that Manel Kape has, he's able to find those big moments. A decision, especially for this kind of fight, I can see happening pretty frequently as well. I'm going to stick with the under on this one.
Some of the stats would back you here. Manel Kape is tied for the highest knockout rate in the flyweight division amongst active fighters. It's only 3. It's not super impressive, but for a 125er, you gotta like it. AJ, I'm gonna go opposite of you. I'm gonna take the over on this one, minus 160 over 4.5. I just think Almabayev is gonna stay sticky, stay competitive, and I don't think he's gonna give Kape the flow state to really turn it up like he did against Bruno Silva. Because if you get that version of him, the fight will not last long. This will be over quickly. I like Manel Kape. This is a consensus pick right here. Only difference in opinion that we have is just the outcome. So what are you taking? Knockout?
Take a knockout, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to go decision. Manel Kape currently tracking at plus 185 for points or plus 185 for TKO. So even across the board. Or if you just like Manel Kape, you could pay minus 220. AJ, would you encourage people just flat money line?
Flat money line. I think this is going to be one of the, especially if he wins this fight, I think this is going to be one of the better props that you're going to actually get him on a flat money line. If you are not as confident, I think throw this one into a parlay and you can make some cash right here.
All right, there you have it, folks. Manel Kape, consensus pick for your main event. That's one of the harder fights that we had to break down. Should be pretty smooth sailing from here.